You know, after the last romance I reviewed for this channel and even for my blog, which while I haven't written at the time of recording, I am going to be probably be writing it out after I record this. After that last romance I reviewed, I think it's only fair that I get to review a good one, even if I wasn't expecting a good romance. Okay, here's the thing. I picked up this book because I kept hearing about it, and I think in one of my calls, someone mentioned reading this author, but it is really popular, or it was. I don't know if it still is, but it definitely was for a time. A book that was talked about a lot on YouTube, and I was like, I'm interested. Let's read it, right? So I just decided, sure, let's just read it. But I had no expectations. I was just kind of like, sure, let's read it. Let's have fun. I'm still in the mood for romance. I'm in the mood for all this stuff. Even though I've been reading something, like I'm in the mood for this stuff. So I have read it, and I'm glad I'm getting to review a good romance, because I I reviewed I reviewed The Rebel's Redemption, and I was not happy. Even though I have some thoughts in retrospect, I'm still not happy about it. So let's talk about Beach Read by Emily Henry instead right now. That way we have a good palate cleanser for whatever review comes next. Sound good? Awesome. All right. So let's talk about this then. A romance writer who no longer believes in love, and a literary writer stuck in a rut engage in a summer long challenge that may just upend everything they believe about happily ever afters. Augustus Everett is an acclaimed author of literary fiction. January Andrews writes best selling romance. When she pens a happily ever after, he kills off his entire cast. I will say the second thing of killing your entire cast sounds awesome to read here and there. they're they're polar opposites. In fact, the only thing they have in common is that for the next 3 months they're living in neighboring beach houses, broke and bogged down with writer's block. Until one hazy evening, one thing leads to another, and they strike a deal designed to force them out of their creative ruts. Augustus will spend the summer writing something happy, and January will pen the next great American novel. She'll take him on field trips worthy of any rom com montage, and he'll take her to interview surviving members of a backwoods death cult to a back death wait what of a backwoods death cult. Obviously everyone will finish a book and no one will fall in love, really. I love this synopsis. I actually had not read the synopsis before I decided to read the book. I was just kind of like, yeah, we're doing it. It's cool. So, overall, my thoughts. Okay. So, the prose is really good. I really enjoyed the prose. I think it's really easy to read, and it's very accessible, and it's very easy to read. Um, and because of that, it's easy to get into the book, at least for if we're talking about prose alone. The writing in general, the writing of the story is the story itself is written in January's point of view, which I think, I love the story, I do, but I think that only writing it in January's point of view is a disservice to the story, because this is a romance. And listen, I have read romances I've enjoyed that were written in only one, in limited point of views. All of Casey McQuiston's romances are written in a limited point of view of one person. However, even though I gave those romances 5 stars, I do think it's a disservice to only write it in one point of view, because you're writing a romance and you are only getting the point of view of one person. And because it's one person, we're only learning about the character through their dialogue. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with this kind of writing style. I just think that because it's a romance, I would like to learn to see the other character's point of view as a reader, very subjectively so. I would like to see the other character's point of views. I'm now that I'm kind of just talking about this stuff, I didn't. I think when I started reviewing books, both in an older channel that I still have but haven't posted in for years, and in this channel, I didn't talk much about point of views and romance and stuff like that and how I think it would work. But I do think it's a good rule of thumb to write both point of views, just because I think there is a lot that I think we miss as readers, or at least that I miss as a reader. I think it's important to have both, because all we're going to learn, we're going to only see the character through one person's point of view. Now, this is written in first person, and it is a pitfall of a first person where you're stuck in one character's head. And you only get to see characters through the way they see them. And you sometimes it does not always feel like the characters go through an arc, because we only see them through this character's point of view. And while sometimes it feels like it is sometimes it feels like they do go through an arc, and because they spend most of their time with this character, like it was for this one, it still leaves me a bit hollow, because I don't know the other love interest's thoughts. I have no knowledge of his thoughts. I only have whatever is revealed to the character, and I think this can work, but I don't know. I am becoming a little bit more distant with first person, I think, as an author, and now as I am reading, I am seeing the distance. I think I'm becoming a more distant reader of the first person, unless it's specific circumstances. So this is just a me thing. I'm becoming slightly more distant with first person, which is really funny, because as a teenager, first person, and as a teenager and like my first few years of college, first person was my favorite POV. Especially first person present. It was my favorite POV to write in. But now, as I am writing, I am now showing a preference to third person present, and usually not a very limited point of view. I take the liberty in my work to head hop and jump from whatever point of view I want, and I kind of look at it like a camera when I write. So, or at least what I imagine a camera is based on or how a camera moves based on the graphic novel writing unit that I took in school, and the screenwriting unit that I took right after. So I am growing slightly more distant from first person. I still write it here and there. I do like it. I still add it, but I like it in specific circumstances now that I'm writing. And I just think it would have been great. Like, I think it could have been fine if this was in first person, but have interchanging chapters between January and Augustus. That way we have both their thoughts, but instead we're just kind of stuck in January's head. And I'm okay with it, but also not super. And by the way, this pitfall of only being stuck in one character's head is not just a problem of first person. I keep saying it's just a problem of first person, but it's not completely. It's also just a problem of limited point of views in general. So like in the Harry Potter books, that's a thing. In McQuiston's books, that's also a thing where you just you're stuck with one character. So it's a thing that happens, and I don't love it as much. I still enjoy them when I read them. And because I'm a fan, I will give them 5 stars because I love them. But I will say that I do prefer a more having both point of views. The pacing. Well, actually, no, wait. Let's talk about the romance first really quickly. The romance itself feels very Insta-lovey. It is very Insta-lovey. They have chemistry, which is why I was able to enjoy the Insta-love so much. It is a very cute romance, and whatever the heck I just dropped. Okay, hang on a second. There we go. Okay, it's very cute. The characters have a lot of chemistry together, And because they have so much chemistry, it feels great. Like it's awesome. Like they have the chemistry of these characters is outstanding. If anything, I think Emily Henry writes really good chemistry. However, I will say that the romance happened so quickly. Although she did technically, I think, have a crush on him for a little bit, but it just happened so fast, I think. And insta love isn't always my thing personally. I don't love insta love as much. Um, I think I wrote a form of insta love though in The Voice in My Dreams, I think, but I actually can't be too sure. It doesn't feel like insta love to me, but I may have written a form of insta love to a degree. Um, but I don't know. I just don't like the I don't like the insta love as much. However, it can be done well, and I think that the key to insta love, at least for me as a reader, is that it that the characters need to have chemistry, and these characters do. It's what made the kiss quotient so good for me. It's what makes Lainey Taylor's romances so good for me. So it can work. It can totally work. It's just a thing, right? It can like totally work. It's just a preference for me. There's also a bit of enemies to lovers. Enemies to lovers is awesome. I love the enemies to lovers trope. I adore it. I do think it can be done wrong, but at the moment, I adore the enemies to lovers trope. It's great. I enjoy reading it so much. I love it with a passion. So it has a favorite trope, and my favorite part of this romance. These characters have lives outside of each other. Do you know how amazing that is? Because I think for me, when I read category romance, I keep finding that the characters are forced. Okay, so listen, forced proximity is a great trope, right? I love the forced proximity trope, and I use it constantly. I will use it in my writing. I don't have a problem with this trope. I think the only problem that I have is that if it's sometimes when it's written, it has the air of like where sometimes characters are forced to spend time with each other in a way that feels that you can tell is forced. It doesn't feel very in a way that feels super contrived. I mean, granted, stories in general are contrived, like you have plot and all that stuff, but it should not feel contrived to the reader. And because it feels so contrived, and sometimes in certain romances, the Rebel's Redemption, it feels forced to the point of being dangerous. And because it does, the forced proximity trope feels hollow, right? But in this one, the one thing I'll say, like, I love it, but also I've read a lot of category romance where I feel like forced proximity feels like it was done in a way that feels like way too contrived, way too plot convenient, way too everything. And I personally just don't enjoy it. If we're gonna do forced proximity, let's do it in a way that feels kind of that feels more natural. I feel personally. So that's where I'm at with that. So this is why I'm glad that these characters have lives outside of each other, where they're not just in with each other all the time. I'm currently reading another one that's similar, and I'm probably gonna get back to reading after I record, and then I'll because I think I need a break for some reading, and I'll probably write tonight, but I need a break to read, and I have been in a bit of a thing, and I think I need to read. But after my recording session, I'm gonna see if I can read some books in Braille, a little bit of this romance and books in Braille, and I'll listen to the audiobook tonight or something. But like I find myself, I don't know, it's disappointing that the some of these tropes become disappointing when I read category romance. It's nothing against the genre. I think that the kind of romance, I think it just depends on the writing and how it's written. But I'm just glad these characters have lives outside of each other. The pacing is really really interesting. I think it's really it happens quickly. The book feels like it's going on really quickly, and it has a very quick timeline. It doesn't feel like it does feel like a category romance in that, like it feels like a category romance, but it feels a little bit like a single title romance. Like it feels like it's hitting the line between category and single title to me. So just in case you're not aware, a category romance is a short novel, a short romance novel that is between 40 to 60,000 words. It's between that length of words. So that's kind of where that is. So now estimating if we're going to estimate the page count, just to give you an idea of what that is, we divide. So I'm gonna estimate the page counts for you right now. In my Braille note, I am dividing 40,000 by 250 because it does gets double spaced and it's 250 per page. So a 40,000 word novel would be about 160 pages, double spaced, and the estimation is 250 words in the 250 words per page. 60,000 words would be about 240 pages. And also, I think it can go up to 85,000 words, if anything. And if it goes up to 85,000 words, I saw a beat sheet that way, and that would be no more than 340 pages. But it does skirt the line, I feel, between a single title and a category romance. But the category romance is that short novel. Now, because it is short, and because it has a word count that is a bit shorter than, like, say, an 80,000, 90,000, 100,000 word novel, it has less time to explore things. It is the story itself is compressed, and it tells a story that can sometimes feel like it needs more time in a very concise plot that is between 40,000 and 60,000 words, aka 160, which is basically a novella, and 240 words of novel. And 240 pages of novel, and that's kind of what that is. And then a single title romance usually has more characters, more subplots, and it also has almost like the kind of plot that it has usually explores more aspects of the characters. The romance is a thing, but it does have more things. It always has more things going on, and that's what this one feels like. Like we're seeing January explore her grief, and she's going through this stuff with family and stuff like in all of that, and we kind of see her explore all that stuff through the pages of this book. So but the pacing of this feels like the pacing of a category romance novel, while the book itself feels like it would be a single title romance. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense. That's what I'm seeing. So we did skirt a little bit around themes here, but yes, there are themes here of grief. I would say content warnings for loss of a parent and grief. But those are like the main themes of this. Also, there are themes of abuse. So I would give you the content warnings for abuse, physical abuse, discussions of physical abuse. There is nothing explicit. It's discussed, but there's nothing explicit. So keep that in mind when you read. The themes are explored in a way that feels like it was handled well. It doesn't feel insensitive, unlike in The Rebel's Redemption, where the themes explored do feel like they were mishandled. This one doesn't feel like a soap opera. Okay, none of this stuff feels like it was added for shock value. It feels all right. It feels like it was handled well. It feels like it was not just added for shock value. So I can appreciate that. So that is where that goes for themes. The characters, I love them. I love them so much. They're great. I had a great time following January. I did have my issues because I do think that they should have been both point of views, but I had a good time. And I really enjoyed the side characters and their dynamics with Augustus, especially, well, we call him Gus in the book, by the way. So I'm gonna say Gus. I keep calling him Augustus, but you know what? Whatever. Augustus or Gus with his aunt, especially, his dynamic was really interesting in the scenes we got to see. I would have loved to see more family dynamics, especially between January and her mom, and also Augustus and his aunt, because they were presented, but they were not talked about all the time. I love though January's friendship with her, January's friendship relationship in general with her best friend. That was very cute. I love it a lot. It was really really interesting. So I think it was great. I had a a great time, but I wanted more family dynamics, more everything, honestly. In conclusion, overall, this was a great story. I had a great time reading it. I read it in like 3 sittings, and I had a lovely time. I'm happy I reviewed a really really good romance, and I can't wait to read more of this author's work. I have two other books from them in my Bard wish list, and I think they came up with a new book this year, and I can probably find it in my public library if it's there. So, we can take a look. It's fine. I'll definitely take a look. I'll read more. Don't So yeah. And with that though, let me know what you think of Beach Read. I gave it 4 stars, by the way, on Goodreads. Let me know what you think of Beach Read. Let me know how if my opinions are similar to yours or very different. Like, how do you feel about the point of view things that I talked about and everything else? Oh wait, I forgot one thing about this book to mention. I just remembered, because I put it in the title, but I did not talk about this. So one of the things that this book, also, one of the themes of this book, and one of the things I found really interesting, is when talking about, like writing. I think one of the themes that it really explores really 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 well is the theme of writing almost like for safety and finding safety in stories, because we learned about January and the way that she found her safe place in romance novels, and how she dealt with stuff because love will conquer all. But then when things didn't go so well, and she stopped believing in love, and also how the book that she started writing ended up being a way to deal with her own family issues. It was like a way to explore her own family issues. I think it was really interesting to see how it was explored and how writing is almost very therapeutic. I related so much to that. I find writing to be very therapeutic to me. If I'm, especially in like in certain stories, I will explore specific parts of my life, with certain characters. They may not be directly like mine, but they are characters I gave parts of my life to. I gave parts of myself to, and I get to explore that. And there is there is a kind of safety in finding, in there is a kind of safety in exploring, events of your life in a story, because it's a story and you're exploring through fiction, and it doesn't feel, at least for me, it doesn't feel as scary when you're exploring specific things through fiction. And I don't know. There's something amazing about it. It doesn't feel as scary. It feels a little bit safer. So like, and it can be extended to so many different things. So for me, for example, I recently recorded a video which I have to edit, and I'm sure it's going to be about 2 hours long, because it was a very long reaction and I had so much to say about everything that was talked about. But basically, I recorded a video where, there was about YA tropes, and one of the things, and about YA becoming more sexually explicit and stuff like that. And I talked about it, and I made a case that it technically is is a safer way for teenagers and young adults to explore sex, because they're not doing anything, they're exploring it through fiction, and it's a safe way, And it's a safe way to explore certain things. And that's one of the things I found really interesting, I think, to talk about. And I think it can be important. It's important, I think, to explore to explore certain things. Um, and I think that fiction is a really good way to do that. And I think this book did a really good job at exploring that. Overall, though, great book. Had a great time. Recommend if you're looking for your next romance and you're looking for something really, really deep and really, really exciting. You know, that is one way to do it. I think this is a great romance, and it could catch out of my reading slump for a little bit. And it's fun. So yeah. So I love it. I don't know what book I'm reviewing next week. Hopefully it'll be. It may not be a romance though, but I know I'm hoping it's a good review. So anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comment section about everything I talked about. I would love to talk about this book. Okay, hello. Thank you for hopefully making it to the end of this video. So first of all, happy Independence Day. Happy July 4th. For those of you who celebrate, I am not someone who does, but then again, I don't celebrate most holidays. But if you celebrate, happy Independence Day. Also, my review for next week is going to be Circe by Madeline Miller. And I'm pretty excited to talk about this book because I read it at a time when I was, it's my second read, and I have a better review of it and a better grasp on it. So I am happy that I'm able to talk about this book. I'm going to try to keep it short. I am a little bit tired right now. It is like close to 11 p.m. when I'm editing. So I'm trying to keep this short. But, so that's going to be the next review. Expect that. What was I saying? Oh, if you are welcome back to the channel, whether you are new or not. I am your host, Anexis, and I am a blind author, content creator, and freelancer. If you enjoy my content and would like to support me, consider subscribing and turning on notifications so you're aware when I release new videos. I hope you did enjoy this episode of Blind Reviews, by the way. If you would like to check out my writing, definitely go to my website. It is linked in the description. You can check out my blog and subscribe there. You'll find reviews and as well as creative work and a lot of stuff there. Make sure if you are interested in supporting me financially, you can check out my books. Available now mostly in all major retailers. Only one is not available on Amazon right now, but I have 2 books out. If you are a fantasy lover and like short stories, check out my debut, Daughter of Death. And it's great if you would check it out now because the second book, The Beginning of Us, will be coming soon. I don't have an exact release date, but I am currently in the editing phase. I am in draft 5. But it will be coming soon. And if poetry is more your vibe, I did recently release a poetry collection called Pieces of Me, available in all major retailers. That one is available on Amazon. Both books are available in my shop. Daughter of Death is available in ebook and audiobook format. Unfortunately, the poetry collection is only available in ebook format. I don't have an audiobook yet, but should hopefully have it soon. But yeah, that's the way. You can also support me on Ko-fi or hire me for services. I have beta reading and poetry writing if you are interested in any of those. You can commission me on Ko-fi. However, if Ko-fi is not for you, you can also feel free to message me on Instagram and we can discuss there. With that out of the way, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Happy reading and consume stories. Bye!